Do you use Evaporust in your shop? I do, and I love it. But what I don't love is spending the money on it. Well, we have an alternative now. Backyard Ballistics, a YouTube channel, recently released an alternative. And that alternative can be made at home, is a fraction of the cost of Evaporust, and lasts 3 to 4 times longer than Evaporust. I am certainly intrigued, and so today we're going to make it and we're going to try it out. Stick around. I want you all to remember that I'm just another yokel who's not educated nor a professional in what I'm doing here, and it's possible that if you rely on this video, you, your project, or the both of you might end up as a smoldering hunk of hammered dog shit. Please use common sense, be careful, and always protect your ears, eyes, face, body, and hands when doing this type of work. With that, let's keep on trucking. This video may contain peanuts. If you're into restoring old trucks or cars or motorcycles or old machines or old machine tooling or military gear, you probably deal with rust. It's a pain in the butt. It's a big problem, and I've tried different solutions over the years, and a couple of years ago I found Evaporust and my world changed. All you had to do was put your rusty part into a bucket filled with Evaporust, let it sit in the afternoon or overnight, or maybe a couple days, and when you go back to check on it, the rust would be gone. Fantastic. You might have some pitting where the rust was in situations where there was an extreme amount of rust, but still the rust was gone. The only problem I have with Evaporust is that it's expensive, at least for a hobby shop. Here in the US, I'm paying $100 for a 5-gallon bucket, and that's a lot of money. Well, in September of 2024, the YouTube channel Backyard Ballistics came up with an alternative, and the channel freely distributed the recipe of how to make it. And it's very simple and it's very cheap. It is water, citric acid, and baking soda, and also some kind of surfactant, which might just be dish soap or fabric softener. It sounds too good to be true, but I tried it out and I am so impressed, and I am so happy to have this solution available to me because I deal in rust all the time. I like old machines. I like old things. I don't typically buy new shiny things off the shelf. I've placed a link in the description below to the Backyard Ballistics video where he goes through the motions of making the solution and also does a lot of testing to show how it compares to Evaporust. It's definitely worth a watch. The ingredients and the ratios can be found in a download in the description below, but it's probably worth your while to watch this video and see how to make it, because there are a few places where you can get tripped up. Believe me, I made a mess and I didn't delete that part, so you get to see it and you get to see me make a mistake so you don't have to. Sit back, grab your favorite drink or your pipe, and watch how this is done. We're ready to jump in. One thing I've been ignoring is the magnetic chuck that goes on my surface grinder. A couple episodes ago I put some Evaporust on here and I covered it with a paper towel, and then I put another rag over that to try to keep it moist, but I don't think it really did anything. I think now we're going to try something different. I was online the other day and found a channel, 2 channels, Beyond Ballistics and Backyard Ballistics, and in Beyond Ballistics he shares a recipe for making your own homemade Evaporust. It's not really Evaporust, it's not the same formula, but it does the same thing as Evaporust. And So I'm going to give it a whirl. It works supposedly faster than Evaporust. It works 3 or 4 times as long as Evaporust. In case you don't know, Evaporust actually can be used quite a few times before you dispose of it. When you're done with it, you can pour it back into the container and use it again later. But eventually the liquid becomes full of iron, and it will no longer remove iron from the surface of material. So anyway, I'm going to follow his recipe, and I'm going to share it with you as well. The recipe didn't say anything about using DI water or just water out of a tap. So in this first one, I'm going to use water out of the tap. I know our water quality here is about 120 TDS, which is pretty low. I mean, it's like lower than the Colorado River, which isn't all that great anyway. But that's how I'm going to start, with 5 gallons of water out of the tap. Now, according to his recipe, we are going to need citric acid, and for 5 gallons we'll need 4.18 pounds, and by my calculations that works out to $18.74 worth of citric acid. And then we're going to need baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, and according to the calculations again, we're going to need 2.64 pounds, and that will cost $3.79. So what does that work out to? That's $22.50 approximately. So let's measure it out. All right, first I will zero my scale, and we're aiming for, with sodium or baking soda, 2.64 pounds. Realize I don't know what that is in terms of ounces. All right, that worked out to 2.64 pounds of baking soda is equal to 2 pounds 10.25 ounces. Get back in here and add some more. There we go. 2 pounds 10.2 ounces. Okay, it's only baking soda. Not gonna kill me, but still. Now we're gonna throw in the citric acid. And for this we need 4 pounds 4.5 ounces. Okay, there we go. So just to put myself on the safe side of slightly crazy, I know that these two are going to foam up when I put them in the water together. You start with the citric acid and the pH will end up being about 1, and then when you add the baking soda, it'll come up to about 4, and that's the same pH as tomato juice. But anyway, it's going to bubble and fizz and give off carbon dioxide, so I'm just going to pull a gallon out initially because I'm a little concerned with there being too much water in here and it's spilling out over the sides. So this bucket holds 5 quarts of water. So I'm going to pull out that much just to give some headroom. Okay. Alright, so the first thing we're going to add is the citric acid. Oh, and I also I have this aluminum rod here that I'm going to use as a stir stick. Okay, just gotta stir it around a little bit. All right, here comes the whiz bang show. Let's see what happens. Well, excuse my language. All right, well, I didn't give it enough room. Should have done it slowly. Well, this is how we learn. Well, I'll put the rest of the water back in now since I've lost some. And we'll just call it a day there. I'm going to test this stuff out on this rusty piece of metal here, instead of going whole hog and throwing something of value in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some water out of here again. I say water, it's now solution of water, citric acid, and baking soda. Okay, here's a piece of metal. This is 2-inch square tube, steel. I just have a bunch of pieces from a project where I cut it all up and didn't use all of it. And I'm going to put this in the solution now. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put both of them in there. And then we'll see what happens. I'll leave a portion of it sticking out. All right. I'll follow up in some undetermined amount of time. Now I'm back, so yep, it's been 2.5 hours, and let's pull out. This was the first one, and I'm just gonna rub my finger on it and rinse it again and see. I mean, that's pretty dang good. Holy moly! I would need more like an overnight bath or something like this with Evaporust, even when it's brand new. I mean, granted, this stuff is brand new. Just made it a couple hours ago, but that is impressive to me. Okay, this is the second one that I brought over. That's really weird that there's this line here. It's been sitting, I put it up on end, but it's weird. Why would this line be here? It's pretty uniform. I don't know. Well, anyways, you know, this is looking pretty good. This stuff is looking. That's amazing. That is. Wow. I mean, Evaporust works well, but I have not seen anything close to this in 2.5 hours from Evaporust. Yeah, look, here's the line. This is the line between what was submerged and what wasn't submerged, just to give you a feel for the drastic difference. Wow, this is awesome. Okay, well, gonna keep going. I'm gonna put these in upside down and then come back and check on the other side in a couple hours and see how that goes. These two pieces have now been sitting in this solution for 4 hours, and let's take a look. So this is the second one. So this is the first one. The way I remember is because this one has the hole on the side, not on the bottom. You know, geez. I mean, there's still a little bit of rust on here for sure, and you know, if I cared about this piece of metal and I was trying to restore it, I would put it back in a little bit longer, but I don't. And I think that, you know, here we go. Look at this. The proof is here. This is this stuff works. That is amazing. And the second piece, I think I figured out what was going on here. Remember, there were two lines. There was a line from here up that was just had less rust on it. I think this probably sat in water like this sometime in the past, so the bottom part was even more rusted than this top part here. But we still have some rust here. I'm just rubbing it with my gloved finger. Let's see what happens here. And yeah, it probably is going to take a little more time to get through this last little bit, but I mean, compared to what this thing was when we started, I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. My neighbor was throwing away these hammers, and I intercepted them before they made it into the can. They're all pretty rusty, but solid. Well, the wooden handled hammers are not. They're starting to decompose up inside the head, but this East Wing framing hammer, it's a framing hammer, that thing's looking pretty solid, so I'm gonna see what I can do in the rust remover solution. I'm also going to put this East Wing framing hammer in there too that I picked up from my neighbor who was throwing it away the other day. So yeah, I'll just kind of sit it here on the side. Okay, I'll leave it like that, just so the all the metal is underneath, but not the entire handle. All right, what do we have here? Look at that! Look at that! That's awesome! Wow! Looks like I've got myself an almost new framing hammer. That's exciting. Got a little bit of paint in there that I didn't see before under the rust. We'll take care of that. I guess it's paint. I don't know, that's what it looks like. Alright, and this one was just, I'm using it as a holder, but look, you can see the difference between before and after. So I guess I don't know. I've got so many hammers. I'm going to take a test with a real part. This is the handle from the magnetic chuck. There's a lot of rust up here on the handle. So I'm going to stick it in here for a couple hours and see what happens. All right, here's another handle that I left in overnight. I think that's looking pretty good. Yeah. Now I'm going to add some handles. One of them has dial readings on it. So first, I've got this big one here. It's not horrible, but it's just got a lot of surface rust. So we'll put that down in there. And then a couple of these that are pretty rusty. And finally, another dial that actually has numbers on it. And well, we're back. It's the next day in the morning, mid-morning, and I'm gonna take these things out and see how they did. Okay, oh wow, it looks pretty good. Yeah, actually that's pretty impressive. Let's see if you can zoom in on the numbers. Yeah, they're
most, if not all, of the rust is gone. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll wipe it off in a minute, and then I'm going to put some WD-40 on it so it doesn't flash rust. But first I'll go rinse it. This does not have any numbers on it. This is just another hand wheel for the surface grinder. And then a couple more handles that, yeah, they look pretty done too. My goodness, this stuff is amazing. I feel like it works better than Evaporust. Okay, well, I'm gonna rinse these off, and like I said, put a little WD-40 on them for the time being, while they sit in expectation of their next work. I made this bath on the back of my pickup truck bed to derust the top surface of my table for the surface grinder. It's difficult to see, but I made a frame out of 2x4s and then put a large green trash bag on top of it and stapled it around the edges with a little bit of sag in the middle. The tabletop on the table itself stands proud of the edge by about maybe a 1/4 inch or so, not quite a 1/2 inch. So once the table is turned upside down like this, then the part that is proud is dipping down into the derusting solution. So this is the third time I've re-leveled it. I tried it the first night and only got half of it. I did it again last night and still it wasn't level, even though I was sure that it was. And now this third time I've just been using shims at each corner to get it to the point where it's as level as I think I can possibly get it, and I can see the liquid all the way around to the edges on all sides. So fingers crossed for tomorrow. I failed to take some footage of the tabletop before I put it into the solution, so I just brought up this old footage from when I was cleaning the machine so that you all can see what it looked like before it was put into the derusting solution. And in a moment we'll look at how it looked after. I just turned the table over after sitting for, I would say, 4 hours, because I had to level it up again. I let it sit overnight last night and the liquid was not touching the surface, but I think it came out pretty well. Good enough for me. Well, we're back again, and I'm going to try something different. I'm doing this at a smaller scale. This is 1 gallon of water and the appropriate amount of baking soda over here and citric acid over here. I went through and read a lot of the comments on the Backyard Ballistics video and found a couple of things that might point to why I had such an explosive reaction before. Now, I know you always add an acid to water or a strong base to water, never the opposite. However, some of the comments suggested that adding the base to the water first and then adding the acid is a better way to go. So we're going to try that, and I'm not going to pour in all the acid at once, but I am going to start with all of the base. So pour that in there and let's mix it up. All right, now we're going to try a scoop of the acid. You can add all of the base to the water, but then you can't just pour in all of the acid.
You need to do it incrementally so it doesn't just blow up on you. In conclusion, be careful. Seriously, though, it seems like add the water to the bucket, then put in your base, and then slowly add the acid so the reaction doesn't overwhelm the bucket like it did in my first attempt. Aye. I can feel there's still a lot of acid down on the bottom. So I think what I did now is even adding it too quickly. I probably should have added the acid, stirred it around until it was all dissolved, and then continued to add more acid. We know that eventually this is going to go clear again. The neighbor's dogs say hi. They love me. It's like angels singing. They got called back inside by Papa. Okay, we're about 7 minutes into this clip, and I can see that it looks like all of the salt has gone into solution. There's nothing like that on the bottom anymore. So, I mean, theoretically, the reaction should be just about complete. Okay, well, there we go. One thing that I didn't discuss or do openly in the video was add a surfactant to the final solution. And from what I can tell, a squirt of dishwashing soap is all that it needs. And just doing a little bit of reading on the web, it appears that that's actually beneficial to the process. So don't leave that step out. We're going to wrap up this video here. While we are one step closer to getting the surface grinder running, we still have another big step to take, and that is taking care of the magnetic chuck. I am 2/3 of the way through opening it up, cleaning it up, putting it back together, and having it operational. There are no problems, but it needed to be done. Just I didn't know what the internal composition would be of the chuck, and I was worried that there might be rust and grime in there. So I took that on. That will be in the next video, and then after that we can actually start doing some grinding and making some sparks. As always, thank you. I really do appreciate anyone who stops by to take a look. Leave me a comment. Did you think that this is useful information? Do you think you might actually try out this solution in your own shop? If you do, how did it work? Beyond that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I really appreciate again you taking the time to spend some of your day with me. All right, well, we'll see you soon. So long for now.